right? It's the ultra high def 4K 94 TD 493, whatever the new thing is. And it's 12 grand. The very next year, you can buy that for 2,500.
Now you just want me to, now I want to go get a new TV.
I know.
I got that grill yesterday.
I was sitting on the can this morning thinking, I'm doing this. Got the stand, got the TV, got just
pretty much how I ended up with that grill.
Like a little can shopping. Yeah. Yo, what is going on, everybody? Glad to have you with us. Glad to be with you on this wonderful Friday morning, closing out the work week. I'm in a good mood today, Josh. I just woke up feeling all right. Dropped the daughter off at daycare. They had donuts and coffee for dads, which
What's your preferred donut?
It really depends, right? I could go Boston cream on a good day, or just give me a straight glazed donut, do the chocolate cream on top. I'm not that picky, but there are certain ones that I will not go with. I think most of the average, run of the mill donuts are okay by me. Donut holes are okay by me, but a nice Boston cream gets the job done. How about you?
Well, you know who's not getting a Boston cream anytime soon? That'd be Kemba Walker.
Josh set that up well before. He's like, dude, ask me about donuts.
Don't do that to me. That's just creative, and you know it. Don't play me like that. That's preposterous. No, I got real lucky there. That was just super real perfect timing. Man. I mean, what a great joke. What are we talking about here? That's Kemba so Walker. Good. That's so good.
It was solid. Traded to the
anyway. I'm with you. I have mixed, like if I'm at like a fancy donut place, like that's been popping up as of late, which is for people that want to waste their money. We got a place here called Wake and Bake that makes a creme brulee donut.
Oh,
that's top of the line. But I mean, we're talking about like a really ridiculous donut. If I'm doing a donut, I want something in the Krispy Kreme variety.
Oh, sure. Yeah, listen, they're delicious. Gourmet donuts can hit the spot. Let me tell you, there's some fantastic gourmet donuts. But just like regular, if I'm just going down the street to a Dunkin' Donuts or a Krispy Kreme around here, there's Yum Yums donuts. I don't know if you had them when you lived in Pennsylvania, but they're fantastic around here in the Bucks and Montgomery County area, all of those. But yeah, give me a good Boston cream, fill you up a little bit. I was actually thinking, by the way, what's going on, everybody? I'm Dave Loughran on Twitter at Laffy_D. Hit me up. Give me a follow. Josh Engleman too, at Josh Engleman. I was thinking last night, I'm going to start doing intermittent fasting. Now, are you I'm sure you're familiar with it.
I do it every day.
So I thought to myself, I've always been fine going without breakfast. Like I can do it. It's not that tough. I need dinner because I can't go to sleep on an empty stomach. I'm a sissy that way. I can't do it. Need my lunch, but I could go from 9 p.m. to 1 p.m. without eating anything. The tough thing is like, I can't put cream or sugar in my coffee. I'm just going to have to drink it black. Definitely can't do Red Bull, but I think I can make this work, man. I'm going to give it a shot. So you say you actually do that?
I do it. Although I do add MCT oil to my coffee, but I don't think that'll surprise you either.
I don't know what that is.
Really?
Yeah. What's MCT oil?
Medium chain triglycerides. They are, it all started, bulletproof coffee became like the way to describe it. Coconut oil was the original way to do it, but they've harnessed that a little bit more, cleaned up those oils. It's like the best fats you could put into yourself. So I add that to my coffee as well.
Wait, you're telling me that doesn't count?
No, not really. When it's pure fat, not at all.
So you're fine. Well, and the whole idea, right? Nobody cares about this, but either way, it's the 16 and 8 that I was looking at. I'm going to give it a shot. It's not like I'm fat, but I've been trying to work out lately.
I love it.
And just trying to get a little bit healthier. Any of you guys have recommendations? I'm happy to listen. Anybody but you, Buddy Rowe. I mean, I'm not taking health advice from Buddy Rowe or Ripple FX.
Oof.
Or
Oof.
I think
David Porter.
The list could keep going on. 2 games today. Coming off of one yesterday where, be honest with you, I hammered that Brooklyn +10 line. I think a lot of us did at halftime. I mean, I looked at that and thought, okay, yeah, this looks decent. They got within 7, but they could never close the gap. And Milwaukee ran away with that one. Giannis finally, not finally, but dominant getting to the basket. They just can't slow him down. They can't stop him. And if Brooklyn's not knocking down their threes, Giannis is so much more dangerous because you don't have to force those threes and those long range shots. You know what I mean?
It's just like they need to have a perfect day with 1.5 stars. They just don't have enough. They don't have enough right now. That's it. Like, I expect Milwaukee to win game 7. It's going to take a Herculean effort from Kevin Durant to save it. They can't afford to have any of their Brooklyn can't afford to have any of their role players having rough shooting days. They're just not in that spot right now.
No, they're not.
If Brooklyn's not healthy in the next round, can the Atlanta Hawks make the finals? Is that a realistic possibility? Because I think Atlanta's in real trouble if they play Milwaukee.
So do I. And I think one of the biggest things too, just looking at what we've seen in this series, you may disagree with me, but you know how I've kind of felt about him throughout the series and the impact that he can make. Joe Harris has just kind of been a non-factor altogether, right? Like, Joe Harris hasn't had any of those 20, 25-point games, which without Irving and a hobbled James Harden, you need someone else to step up because Jeff Green's not going to do that every day, Josh. He had 5 points yesterday. I'd call it more of an anomaly in game 5. And that kind of rung true yesterday. They just, Harris hasn't done, Jeff Green, Blake Griffin is, not as bad as he was in Detroit, obviously, but he's still nothing close to what he was before. Middleton had a monster game, huge game.
Of course he did.
Yeah, I know. Giannis had a good enough game. Drew Holiday stepped up. Holiday and Middleton had a combined 9 steals in that one. The Brooklyn Nets turned the ball over 16 times, and what felt like in the fourth quarter, maybe 6 times in 6 possessions. So a lot of things went wrong for them. A lot of things went right for the Bucks. We talked about it the other day. Both of us said we thought that minus 310 line on the Brooklyn Nets to win the series was a little steep. It's just unfortunate there was such a big hold on that because it would have been awesome to be able to take the Bucks there. And I couldn't find a great line on them anywhere.
Well, I was long since asleep because I fell asleep in the middle of the first and second quarters. And honestly, I don't think I missed much. The game was kind of boring.
You didn't miss much at all. As a matter of fact, I finished it, but only because I had skin in the game. If I didn't, I'd probably turn that game off. It was not a very good game at all.
And I didn't play the slate. I got caught up putting that grill together, and all of a sudden it was way too late to do anything. So my night was over.
That'll happen.
I was lucky I made it to the end of the first quarter.
Hit that thumbs up for us, guys. Appreciate you. I mean, the great thing about the people that are always in this room early is they hit sometimes I'll look at this stream to tweet out a link 20 minutes before the show, and we already have 25 thumbs up on it. It's a beautiful thing. Again, it's the OGs of the Awesemo YouTubes, and we are nothing without you. But for real, hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. I think only like 51% of people that watch these shows on the channel are subscribed. If you hate it, you can just click unsubscribe. Like you say, oh, God, I've made an awful decision. You're losing sleep at night. You wake up in a cold sweat and you say, what the fuck did I do? Well, just go to your phone and click unsubscribe, right, Josh? It's not that hard.
No, you can fix it pretty quickly. I'm positive of it.
Yeah. I don't think you'll want to do that, but in the event that you do, we'll gladly refund your misery. And if you want to join the YouTube channel, the Team Awesemo here, you can click join right down there below. It's $2.99. You get the badges, which look really sweet. They upgrade over time as well. I'm still sitting on the 2-month badge. Got to make some improvements there. Time needs to fly. You got the emojis, and we'll always do our best to take your questions first in chat and read your comments. We've been working on something cool, right, that I've seen on other channels. So I certainly won't be taking credit for any of this, but where like the questions pop up in the stream with your name, that's a cool feature, right? Like on the actual stream, they'll pop up with your question. So your name will be up there and your question or your comment will be up there. It's pretty cool.
It's going to be helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you seen that before on streams though?
Yeah, I know. I guess it doesn't matter that I say this out loud. Like, I'm pretty sure you could do that through StreamYard.
I believe you can. We ran into a couple things with it that made it a little bit more difficult, but it's in the process right now. And I think it'll be really cool because we got a good community here and it's sweet to be featured in pretty much anything, pop up anywhere. So anyway, Josh, I don't really have even much of a recap from yesterday. It was kind of not that surprising. Like, I wasn't sure that Brooklyn would win. That's why I bet him at +10, because if you're going to give me 10, in a game 6, I'll take it. But even that, they end up losing by 15, and Steve Nash emptied the bench with like 4 minutes to go.
Yeah, he knew what was what. Durant got 40 minutes, so there was that call. Harden played 40 as well. Yeah, it kind of played out. Like, I don't want to say the game played out exactly like I thought it would, but like this is sort of what's going to happen when it's Kevin Durant and like bit players and Joe Harden. James Harden is, for all intents and purposes, a bit player. He caught a ball on a fast, he got a steal on, couldn't take the break, slammed on the brakes. It didn't go anywhere. The moment that I saw that, it was just like, oh, okay. Like he really can't do that at all. He can't risk it whatsoever.
How bad when you're watching him did you think he looked?
I mean, he looks okay. Like he doesn't have any burst. He can't get himself started. That's really how it is. Like the shot is fine. No real issues there. He was a little bit more active defensively, which was interesting to see. But if he can't run in transition, like that's a major, major part for him. And if he can't do that, he can't even participate running in transition. And that becomes a real problem. It's hard to get numbers when one of your guys just can't do that.
Yeah. Oh, no question. And that was one of the biggest issues. He scored better. He had a couple of nice shots where you're like, okay, he looks all right. But all in all, yeah, James Harden was not himself, is not himself. And if I were to ask you, what do you think the odds are, or even the percentage chance that Irving is back for game 7? I'd put it at like 5%.
There's no way to know. I mean, it's a sprained ankle. So like, it's pretty easy to test out. And generally speaking, it's not going to matter what happens. Like, so I expect him to be questionable for game 7 and try to warm up. If that's not the case, then like, don't expect him, if they win, to be playing in game 1.
Right. Okay. Well, we got Philly, Atlanta. We got Utah and the Clippers. The craziest part about all this is you and I had a conversation. And see, I'm willing to admit when you do something that is done well, right? Executed nicely, maybe said, well, like yesterday, for example, you tweeting that you destroyed me in that argument was just
accurate.
An outright fallacy. And judging by the likes on each of our tweets, mine doubled, yours up. I'm just going to assume that the audience stands with me.
Yeah, I mean, it's just always natural that the first tweet gets more likes. So we need to account for that.
No. My quote tweet of your tweet.
Oh, well,
Oh yeah,
you have more followers. Yeah, you have more followers for right now. You've been in the game a bit longer than I have. So
okay.
I don't know. We should probably account for that somehow.
All I'm saying is I won each round like 10-7. But
no,
you
probably have Adelaide Bird scoring this.
You had a statement the other day that I kind of dismissed, or at least pushed back on, where you said the Clippers could win 4 straight, right? Like, it's not crazy that they win 4 straight. And then Kawhi goes down. It's like, all right, well, no chance. Now, the Clippers could legitimately win 4 straight now, 2 of them without Kawhi Leonard. The Jazz are only 1.5 point favorites in a must-win game 6 tonight.
I predict these things, man. When you're good, you're good.
Yeah, well, I don't know why I give you any credit. I guess I'm just good at my job, and I try to create.
You shouldn't have to give it to me. It should be perfectly obvious to everyone that watches this show.
Except yesterday. Philadelphia and Atlanta, Josh. The Sixers still laying 3 points on the road. I mean, you and I not even got into it. We had a solid exchange yesterday surrounding this game 5. And there were people in the comments that said, listen, I'm not even playing today, but I tuned in just because I knew that this opening segment is going to be insane. And I hope we didn't disappoint. I don't think we did. I'm pretty sure it was enjoyable, but they're still laying 3 points, 221.5 point total. And I've got a prop for you today. And this is going to people are not going to like this. Okay. It's okay. I know. I'm taking the over on 13.5 points for Ben Simmons.
I cannot wait. I cannot wait to pull this up right now to see what I have it at. I want more, anything more in my life for it to be under right now. What is the line?
13.5.
Okay, I got him at 14.1, so I can't even make a joke.
Can't make a joke, right? And
I wanted the under more than anything to be like, what a terrible bet.
If you have him at 14, listen, I have my finger on the pulse of this team for the most part. I mean, the things that I've been railing against all season, and not to mention saying that I don't think the Sixers are quite good enough to get where they need to go. I've gotten so much pushback because a lot of Philly fans follow me, right, on Twitter. We have good dialogue on Twitter because it's fun. I took a lot of pushback for saying like this Sixers team isn't as good as people think it is. And I still believe that. I do. Like, I just don't think they have all the pieces. And I think Ben Simmons is one of the elements in the postseason and against good teams that can be a detriment. But in a game like this, I still look at this being one of those spots where he has to be more aggressive. It's a game 6. It's a must-win spot. Is this somewhat narrative based? I guess, but not really. And even though he's been terrible shooting free throws, I still don't see him going 4 for 14 again. Even if he gets it to 50% or 40%, that's an additional few points tacked on. I anticipate more than 4 field goal attempts in a game. And I think, here's the thing. I think that Doc Rivers, like either this guy is completely blind, Josh, or at some point he will understand that him coddling Ben and telling him to just do whatever he wants to do isn't going to get the job done. Ben said after game 5 that he needed to, or game 4 that he needed to be more aggressive, and then wasn't more aggressive at all. This is now or never for Ben Simmons. I wouldn't be surprised. Would you be surprised if they lose this game in this series if Ben Simmons isn't on the team next year?
Not at all.
You wouldn't be surprised, right?
Not at all.
Especially,
I also wouldn't be surprised right now if Philly wins the title, given the picture of this playoffs right now.
But isn't that the worst part of all of this though? The fact that like if there was ever a window for a team that you know has the process, has been doing everything they can to get there and falling short each year. They've never even been to the Eastern Conference Finals. Remember, they lost in 7 to Toronto in the semifinals. You know, they got swept in the first round last year. They lost to Boston in round 2 a few years ago. They haven't gotten to the Eastern Conference Finals. For them to lose to Atlanta, and this is not me shitting on Atlanta. This is me saying, like, you should get through Atlanta and then face potentially a Brooklyn team. It could still happen that has a hobbled James Harden and potentially no Kyrie Irving or a hobbled Kyrie Irving, or a Clippers team that has no Kawhi Leonard, or a Suns team that, I mean, they'll have Chris Paul, but Chris Paul might not be there. Chris Paul might not be there to start games in the next round. So like, there's so many different gifts from the basketball gods being dished out to the 76ers. If they squander this opportunity, I have very little doubt that Daryl Morey will do something about it and turn things around next year. I'm serious about that because he made a huge turnaround this year with the small trades he made, like Seth Curry for Josh Richardson. Are you kidding me?
That's a great trade. Trade.
There's a lot of things you can do to make this team better. I don't think Ben Simmons will be here next year, though.
Depends on the outcome of these next 2 games. That's for sure.
Well, sure. Of course. I'm saying.
Well, actually, honestly, it doesn't, because Daryl Morey would probably trade Ben Simmons if they won the title too.
Yeah. Right. But the thing is, they really wanted Harden and Simmons was the deal breaker.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of crazy. They really tried to get Kyle Lowry. Don't forget that. They really wanted Lowry at the trade deadline. Doesn't that say something to you?
Well, they wanted Kyle Lowry because they weren't going to give up Tobias Harris, Ben Simmons, or Joel Embiid in that deal. That to me is very different.
No. I know. But they wanted a legitimate, like, playmaking, pass first, but can also knock down threes, a traditional point guard.
They would have taken, I think they would have wanted, I mean, yes, it does say something, but I think they would have wanted any star that they could have acquired in this run to go from 3 to 4. I don't think it had to be Kyle Lowry. He just happened to be like the only guy that was available.
If they got Kyle Lowry, this series would have been a sweep. How about that?
Yeah.
Oh, you agree? Yeah. Would have been a sweep.
Yeah. I think they're the favorites.
Yeah. Oh, if Kyle Lowry's on this team and your starting lineup is Lowry, Curry, Harris, Simmons, and Embiid, it's over.
Yep.
It's over.
Yeah.
No question.
Yeah.
So what do we think of the Sixers tonight then, Josh? Like I said, laying 3 points. Joel Embiid's questionable. He's going to play. Danny Green remains out. I think we have to start with Embiid, who
by the way, Danny Green starts in that lineup and not Seth Curry.
You'd want Seth Curry as your sixth man?
Yeah.
It's tough though, because he doesn't create his own shots.
He comes in when Lowry needs to come off the floor, leave Simmons on.
I would still start Curry. I'd want another Tobias Harris.
They would want Danny Green's defense.
You don't need it.
You kind of do. It's the playoffs. You always do.
Ben Simmons and Embiid and Kyle Lowry are all three very good defenders.
I agree.
If you take Seth Curry and put him in the starting lineup, because think about this, Kyle Lowry can shoot threes, so can Seth Curry. But Tobias Harris is not a particularly great three-point shooter. Ben Simmons doesn't shoot the basketball. And while Embiid can knock them down, he's still not the guy you want to rely on from beyond the arc. Like, you know where you want Embiid. So I would start Seth personally, but
not in the playoffs.
I would. I don't think he's a shot creator unless you wanted someone else out. I don't know. Whatever. Either way, Joel Embiid bounced back after a weak game 4 with a huge game 5 performance, 73 DraftKings points. Are we going back to him today on a slate where you have Embiid, Paul George, who's now up above $10,000, just using DraftKings pricing, Trae Young, Donovan Mitchell, questionable. These are all of your high-priced guys today, the 4 of them.
Yeah, so like Embiid to me is just properly owned, 37% on FanDuel, 40% on DraftKings, where he's actually $200 cheaper. To me, you just play him if you can get to him, and don't if you can't. Like, I don't love him. I don't hate him. He just is what he is. We need to address Tobias Harris quickly on FanDuel at 7,200. There's still only 4 power forwards that you could roster at the position, and John Collins got a price bump. So Tobias Harris is unquestionably the number 1 FanDuel power forward. Have fun with that one after game 5. That'll be a real treat. But he's in the optimal lineup like 70% of the time. It's normal on DraftKings because everybody can play every position basically. So my favorite DraftKings Philly guy is Embiid. I think he's in the optimal more frequently than anyone else. On FanDuel, it's Harris, but that's more positionally based than anything else. I actually do really like Ben Simmons, but so does the public. 47.5% owned on FanDuel. I've got him at 49. The guy that I have the biggest gap on between how I feel and where the ownership is actually $3,800 Matisse Thybulle on FanDuel, coming in to me a bit under owned given this spot. Although, all bets are off for what he's going to provide. He just needs to get some stocks at this point. That's really how it is.
Yeah, for sure. And did you not mention Seth Curry?
Look, he's 6,200 on FanDuel. I can't imagine getting too much of him there. On DraftKings, where he's 5,400, I think 23% ownership seems about right. You need that specific game out of Curry no matter what, because he's not getting you anything else when he's playing.
Sure. He was the reason I had some solid cashes the other night, just because I played him at 5K at only, I think it was like 20% ownership. I don't think 5,400 is insane, especially on playoff slates where some of these are going to be lower scoring. Granted, the other night on that 2-game slate with these same 4 teams playing 2 games, the winner on DraftKings had like 377 points. So yeah, there are some high scoring games. Granted, that was Embiid and Paul George combining for like 150, but
right.
Yeah, there are going to be some lower scoring performances here. And you have a 221 total in this game. You have a 220 total in the other. It's not out of the realm of possibility that 35 from Seth Curry at 5,400 is not a good enough score. But yeah, I don't see him ripping off another 50 plus fantasy points again today either.
No, I mean, look, 7 of 12 from 3, taking 1 less shot than Joel Embiid. That's just not happening. And it's probably not what you want either. If Seth Curry is taking the second most shots for Philly tonight, that's probably a bad sign. You hope that they're going in. Like, he's a guy you want taking those shots. You just don't want him to have to take those shots. Like, when Tobias Harris is playing like garbage and Ben Simmons is playing like Ben Simmons, Seth Curry is doing everything that he can. And he's a great shooter. Anytime that he takes a 3, it's probably one of the better shots you're going to be able to get. But at the same time, like, he's not at the top of the priority list either.
I'm okay with him taking the second most shots because
I would be too,
but
not because Harris is because he's playing bad. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
Because they're probably harder shots at that point.
Right. Yeah, I got you. It's just the thing about Seth Curry when he shoots is he makes them, Yeah. Like,
yeah, look, people laughed. He's one of the best shooters ever.
I know. He has the second best 3-point percentage ever. And the best is someone from like, we looked it up from like what, 1980 or something. So
it was Steve Kerr.
Steve Kerr. Right.
Some guy.
I just couldn't remember who the name was, but yeah. And that was on like what, probably 3 attempts per game or less.
Right.
Either way, I think it sounds like to you, or it sounds like to me from what you're saying, is that there are a handful of Sixers that you really like quite a bit today.
I've got a handful of Sixers that I think look identical today.
Okay.
I have a really difficult time separating these guys based on salary, other than Embiid being at the top. But whether it's Harris, Korkmaz, Simmons, or Curry, they all look pretty appropriately owned. I don't have much of a take on them. They just, like, the pricing seems right. There's value in there's value in other places that's getting prioritized here. Like, you can't go to Maxey or Hill or Howard or Shake, really. Thibault, even at the flat minimum, like, I don't know if he has enough of a ceiling given some of the prices on some other guys in other spots. So it's really just Embiid, and then probably grab one more Philly guy and hope you're right.
Honestly, if Doc Rivers runs the same bench rotations as he did last game and they lose, he should be out. I wouldn't be surprised if he's a one and done if this ends poorly for them. So the
Doc
bench
Rivers, man, he ain't going anywhere.
What's that?
He's Doc Rivers. He ain't going anywhere.
He should, though.
I mean, generally speaking, most teams don't like paying 2 coaches, but we're seeing that happen in now I can't remember who it is. Who just got fired?
Well, Carlisle stepped down.
Yeah, it's not him. Young team.
Stan
the
Van
Pelicans.
Gundy.
Yeah, the Pelicans. Like, their next coach is going to be working as like a unpaid intern or something like that. but Gail Benson ain't cutting those checks.
What I'm saying, though, is like the bench has already been awful and they're already not playing a lot of minutes. This is something I had asked Adam about yesterday. Once you get this deep into the playoffs, the rotations become more condensed. They become a lot smaller. So you're going to have a tougher time finding value. And in the case of the Sixers, like, unless you're looking to Matisse Thybulle or maybe Shake Milton gets hot off the bench and plays some additional minutes, these guys either aren't getting minutes or they're Matisse Thybulle and they just don't rack up any fantasy production.
Man, Thybulle really doesn't rack up any fantasy production.
No, it's bad. It's bad. Like, if you
0.72 fantasy points per minute over the last 30 days, that's actually higher than I was expecting.
I was just going to say, I would have put him around 0.6. Like, off the top of my head.
Not ideal. Not ideal.
It's not. And you're talking 0.72 on potentially, 23 minutes too. Not 0.72 on 35 minutes.
He's not going ham for it.
No, unless he can knock down some threes. He did get up 7 attempts a couple games ago. But he's not exactly a proficient 3-point shooter either. Less than 31% from beyond the arc this year. Not great. With Atlanta, they actually have had significant bench production, Josh. And Danilo Gallinari has had some solid bench games recently. Kevin Huerter's in the starting lineup now, but really Gallo has been that one guy that's been able to produce some strong numbers. And the last thing I'll say before turning it over to you is, I think I mentioned to you on Wednesday, it is possible, unlikely, but possible, that Lou Williams gets hot in a game and they want his scoring, right? Yeah. Like, can I predict that that's going to happen? No. But can I say that if it does happen, McMillan would be wise to keep him out there? Yes. It's exactly what happened at the end of last game. Lou Williams ended up closing this one out outside of, like, I think, what was it? 22 seconds, where I'm assuming it was just on free throws and they wanted their bigs out there or something,
Absolutely.
22 minutes. He played like 17 minutes to close out the game. So is it something I anticipate happening again? Probably not. But Lou Williams is one of those few players, like we saw with Shake Milton back in game 2 or 3 or whatever it was, that can differentiate themselves if they're playing really well.
Yeah, and to be clear, and not that I'm saying that you weren't going to say this, but if Bogdan Bogdanovic doesn't have 5 fouls, Lou Will is not playing those minutes, and none of that is actually happening. Sure. There's no way. The fact that they had Trae Young, Lou Will and Danilo Gallinari out there at the same time, I would have told you that Philly was just absolutely sandblasting them on the offensive side of the ball, because that is three as bad as you're going to get defending. Like, to have Trae Young and Lou Will in the backcourt of a playoff game is, you just assume they're down by 40.
Yeah.
Gallo cannot guard threes. And yet, for some strange reason, Philly can't stop this. And I don't know how that's possible. I never thought it was possible that Atlanta could run that kind of lineup out there and succeed.
Me neither.
At the same time, don't play Lou Williams on FanDuel at all. 0% of your lineup should include Lou Will. He's 4,800.
Oh, that's absurd. Well, he's almost minimum salary on DraftKings, which is why I brought it up. Now, again, it's a low probability play. And you make a good point with Bogdanović. But the only reason I didn't bring that up is because Bogdanović was having an awful game, first of all. But he had 5 fouls like midway through the third. He never returned to the game. So it's certainly the opportunity, the window of opportunity opened because of Bogdanović fouls.
Yeah.
But it stayed open because Lou Williams was playing well.
Right. Yeah. And that's exactly why you have Lou Williams. Once that starts going well, you ride that stuff until he misses like 2 heat check shots, and then you're like, all right, back to normal. And he just didn't. Like, he came in the midpoint of the third quarter and never left the floor again for all intents and purposes.
Dude, he had 13.
He's going to play like 12 minutes tonight.
I think he will too.
Yeah.
I think he will too. But if he comes out and rips off like 4 for 4, does he get some additional minutes later in the game? It's hard to say. Mind you, listen, let me ask you this though, right? So the closing lineup, you mentioned Gallinari was in it, Capella, Trae Young, John Collins, and Lou Williams.
Yeah.
Is it also possible, though, that Lou Williams could get those Kevin Huerter minutes, especially if Gallinari is not playing well? Like, obviously, Gallinari is much bigger, but there's different ways that you can, because you still have Collins, you still have Capella. Yeah. Gallo was playing the 3 in that situation, not the 4. So I don't think it's absurd to think that even if Bogdanović is out there, you could move him to the 3 and have Lou Williams at the 2 and Trae at the 1. Again, low probability, but could it be for Bogdanović and next game it's for Huerter? I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility, but yeah, probably playing 12 to 15 minutes. Yeah,
the only, barring aggressive foul trouble, Kevin Huerter is the only place that Lou Will can get minutes, because they're clearly not coming from Trae Young. They're not coming from Bogdanović unless he has 5 fouls midway through the third quarter. And they're not coming from anybody else because those other players aren't the same position. So Huerter is the only guy that I think could take the haircut. And I don't really think that at this point, Kevin Huerter has a ton of minutes to give up. I think the ceiling on Lou Will, barring aggressive foul trouble, is probably like 17 minutes. Sure. Which is pretty nice at 3,200.
Right. Yeah. You're not expecting him to go 22 minutes again, but 17 minutes on a slate like this isn't the craziest idea. Anyway, let's break down the rest of the Hawks. Before we do, 47 likes away from 150, about midway through this show here. If you haven't hit it yet, hit that thumbs up. Much appreciated. And if you hate the show, hit the thumbs down, but you got to do it twice. And while you're at it, check out No House Advantage, our sponsor. Josh and I talk about them all the time here because they have a solid platform, peer-to-peer player prop betting platform. And all of the tools you need to win over there are totally free at Awesemo.com. We specifically built these for No House Advantage, the No House Advantage player prop tool, the optimal lineups tool, all of that stuff free every single day of the week. Not to mention that if you sign up using the promo code Awesemo when you go to nohouseadvantage.com or download the app in the App Store or the Google Play Store, use that promo code Awesemo, AWESEMO, get $20 when you sign up and deposit for the first time. And Josh, as we all know, the biggest thing here, the best way to build your bankroll, these props don't change throughout the day, ever. I mean, that's the biggest advantage you get over anything else.
It really is. I know we talk about this a lot, and I feel like we give sort of the same speech, but there are times, man, the speeches like this, talking about how people should get in these contests and like play this type of game because it's the best thing you can do, actually got me banned from the DFS sports subreddit because because I said that I didn't want, like, I wasn't in the contest, and they were screenshotting it like, he's not even playing the contest that he's talking about. And it's like, well, first of all, I don't have the energy. I don't care. I've got to manage being live on a show, playing 2 other sites as well. What I say and what I do are 2 separate things. So they banned me for that, which was hilarious. The place where I cut my teeth. Ugh.
Yeah, Reddit for sure.
But anyway, the point still stands. If you're getting into contests with potential overlay, free money when you're signing up, and we are providing you with optimal lineups and the projections for all of the props that exist, you are so far ahead of the game at that point. We can't say like you're guaranteed to make money. No one is. I can't guarantee that at all. That's the most advantageous situation you are going to find anywhere in DFS right now. Yeah. There isn't a better spot.
There really is. And to your point on Reddit, I can't play on some of these sites because Pennsylvania has really weird laws where I could play DraftKings. I can legally bet sports, but then some of these player prop sites, I just can't. I would love to. Why would I not? I'm already betting every night. Like I would love to use that. And some of them I can't, but it doesn't mean that just given all the information we have that it's not a plus EV place to play. And that's really all that matters.
It was when Yahoo was running regular, no management fee contests.
Yeah, no management.
I was like, well, what am I supposed to say? That this isn't a good tournament to enter? It's the best one that you can get in because you're shaving 10 to 15% off of your rake right out of the gate. It's the best thing you can do.
Why would anyone care if you weren't playing them, if you were trying to give them good information founded in facts? You know what I mean?
Well, that's easy. Jealousy.
Yeah, there is that. Reddit's a cesspool in a lot of these subreddits though, man.
Got me my job, man. I love it. So I was playing around in that cesspool for
a good
time. It was the best.
I frequently go on Reddit. I enjoy Reddit. Yeah. But man, much of that is there's a lot of these subreddits where it's just straight condescending assholes who just have, like you might.
Was that the Josh Engleman subreddit?
I would assume honestly that you would fit that category. Yes, for sure. No doubt about it.
It depends. I said it on the process show before. You got to be malleable, man. I'm not the same guy on the process show that I am on the strategy show. It's different.
For sure. No, I know. Yeah. You can, you can chameleon yourself into different scenarios.
Ooh, the chameleon.
That's how you find success. That's how you find success in life, really.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to be whatever they need in that particular moment.
I'm not good at many things, but I can talk like a motherfucker and I can have a conversation with anybody. That gets you places.
I'm good at many things along with that.
Well, you're not good at that. I just bring it out in you.
That's true.
No, I'm kidding. I'm also good at several things. I try to be more humble than you, though. But then you say something like that. I'm like, I can't let him get away with that. Close out the Hawks, and then we'll go to the Jazz and Clippers.
Yeah, so my favorite guy on the Hawks today is Bogdan Bogdanovic. I'm hoping that people look at that line and think like, oh, maybe today's Lou Will day. I have Bogdan at 5,800 on FanDuel as my favorite Hawk. I have Bogdan at 6,400 on DraftKings as my favorite Hawk. I think he's under-owned on both sides. I think he plays 40 minutes so long as he doesn't pick up 5 fouls in the middle of the third quarter. It's what he had been doing previously. So I'm going to a lot of Bogdan. I'm going to a lot of Gallo on FanDuel. Again, it's a positional thing. You don't have a choice. But Clint Capella on DraftKings, he's projected for 31% ownership. I think that number should be higher, 6,700. He is my second favorite Atlanta Hawk today. So Bogdanovic and Capella, you'll notice I did not say Trae Young's name at all. To me, he is properly owned on FanDuel and DK, 10,300 on FanDuel, 9,900 on DraftKings. I don't have like a take for Trae Young. You should play him in a similar way as the public at this point.
Capella's been bad, Josh.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that discredits you from playing him if his price continues to fall like that. Yeah. I mean, everything comes down to where they're priced. At the beginning of this series, he was 7,700. He's now 6,700. That's significant. There's no doubt about it. That is significant. And I'm not saying anything to the contrary, but I mean, I think I've said this a lot. It's just straight alley-oop attempts to him, and then hopefully he can compete with Joel Embiid for enough, and Simmons, because the Sixers are a very good rebounding team, for enough rebounds. The problem is I find this to be an awful nightly matchup for Clint Capella.
Yeah, I mean, that's usually what happens when the arguably best center on the planet is on the opposite side. He wasn't going to come in here in like a great spot. Yeah, it's a terrible spot for Clint Capella. We don't have a choice. There's 2 games.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to face Joel Embiid either. I'd prefer that his knee hurts and he gets Dwight Howard or Mike Scott. Things will probably go better.
If there was a prop today for will Dwight Howard get on the floor, I would hit the no on that.
He'll always get a rotation.
I don't think he's even going to see the floor tonight.
I don't think he should. I think that every minute at center should be played by either Joel Embiid or Ben Simmons, but that's neither here nor there.
Doc, well, you know what though? I'm giving Doc far too much credit, aren't I? That's the issue here. If it were you, is there any way you played Dwight Howard tonight after the way he's played and the way that they've coughed up leads with him on the floor?
Probably. Look, yes, you probably give him at least one rotation in the first half.
I wouldn't.
You just got to make sure Capella's out there. That's really or Okongwu, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know if it matters at this point. Anyway,
I would rather have Ben Simmons at the 5 in that scenario. I think you could do a lot of really interesting things with Ben at the 5.
Sure. Yeah.
He should be Joel Embiid's direct backup. Like they should stagger those two, and he should be the 5 in those spots. It's the playoffs. Like,
yeah,
I think Capella's not going to be a problem. They're probably the same size. People just don't realize it.
Right. One day,
Ben Simmons is a monstrous human being.
I know. He should. I hope one day, or really today, or maybe all throughout this, Doc Rivers listens to this show. I'm sure that's a priority of his, and says, "Oh wait, yeah, why have I not been staggering these guys so Tobias Harris isn't the only starter on the floor with 4 other bench players?" That would be nice.
Yeah, here's the sizes listed on Basketball Reference now. Clint Capella 6'10", 240. Ben Simmons 6'11", 240.
Right. Dude, no, Simmons is huge.
Yeah.
He's a big
you hear
fella.
that? So, hey, Glenn, if you're listening, like the show.
Who?
I called Doc Rivers by his
you're
first name.
You're going formal on me. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. His real
story,
name isn't
Glenn.
Doc?
I mean, the time that Draymond called him Glenn in the interview was incredible.
Yeah. So Utah and the Clippers. And remember, all of these shows, guys, check them out in podcast form if you'd like to do that. Whether it's Apple Podcast, Spotify, doesn't matter. If you don't want to listen on YouTube, check it out on the podcast platform and put yourself in the running. Every week we give away a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. All you have to do is leave us a rating and review and leave either your Twitter handle or your email in that comment, and we'll pick a winner every single Friday. It's pretty cool. Pretty good stuff. All right, Josh, the Utah Jazz. Donovan Mitchell, Mike Conley, both questionable. They're laying 1.5 on the road, 220 total. Donovan dealing with this ankle. You have to assume he's active tonight and plays through pretty much anything unless it's like, a gangrenous foot and he's about to lose it, which even in that case, maybe he's active.
I can't see a scenario where Donovan Mitchell doesn't play. The Mike Conley one is really tricky. The more like the true trickiest thing to me is I guess this is just a testament of how hurt he is. I can't believe the Jazz aren't favored. Or are they favored?
They are.
Do I have it typed in wrong?
They're laying 1.5.
I thought they were getting 1.5. Did I look at that wrong?
No, Jazz are laying 1.5 on the road, -1.5.
Some damn early lines, man.
Yeah, they move.
I typed it in wrong. It's fine.
It might have been an early line.
I can't believe the Jazz are favored. Best I could do right now. Look, we're at the same spot we were 2 days ago. We can look at this in one of two ways. Like, do you think Mike Conley plays today? I have him out.
I don't think he plays this series.
I don't know what to make of it. Like, I have him out, at which point I think that every Jazz guy looks exceptional. But we're projecting the ownership like he's in. So it's hard for me to say how I really feel because I love Jordan Clarkson again at 5,200 on FanDuel at point guard. I'm happy to get to Donovan Mitchell at monstrous usage and total scoring. Bojan Bogdanovic gets a much bigger role. Joe Ingles gets a much bigger role. I really like Utah a lot tonight if Mike Conley isn't playing. But I don't think we know that until 9:30 tonight.
I don't think we'll know either. And no. I'm sorry. You don't think we'll know the Conley news till then?
I don't think we know the Conley news until after lock.
I don't know about that. He's been ruled out in the afternoon every single game of this series, if not before.
It's game 6. They go home if not. He's questionable and they try to figure it out. Otherwise, you can rest assured that he's not playing in game 7. But I think he's questionable and he's testing it today no matter what.
So if he does play, then like if he doesn't play, it's significant, right? Like it's and these hamstring injuries. Just look at James Harden. I mean, James Harden played, but was entirely ineffective in game 1, and game 2 didn't exactly help them all that much. So if Conley plays, I don't think I want anything to do with him.
No, the difference between Conley playing on this injury and James Harden playing on this injury are massive. First and foremost, James Harden is significantly bigger than Mike Conley. Mike Conley is not going to be able to hold up defensively. James Harden can still guard people in the post when he's out there. The difference in defense there is pretty massive. Not to mention, James Harden is just simply a better passer than Mike Conley because he's bigger than Mike Conley and can make better passes. This, like, if they're both injured and can't get to their spots. So I would want 0% Mike Conley tonight if he is playing. I think that is unless he's got like sneakily priced down to the flat mana on DraftKings, which I don't think that he did. I think it's impossible to play Mike Conley today.
I agree. Who are your top options right now from Utah in the event that Conley is out?
Bojan Bogdanovic and Jordan Clarkson on FanDuel. Clarkson in particular, if I assume 25% ownership doesn't hold, but I'll still prefer those guys. I have them both in optimals north of 50% of the time. On DraftKings, it's Donovan Mitchell at the top, 9,300. I actually think he's pretty significantly under-owned for that price tag. Look, he's going to get the Lance Harbor shot in the knee, but in the ankle here. He's going to do whatever it can to not feel a damn thing playing in this game today. They go home if they don't. So love getting to Mitchell. I think Rudy Gobert is actually the second best Jazz option on DK, but he's actually owned more than I would want him to be. So just slightly over-owned, but I don't mind like 35 to 40% Rudy Gobert. But Mitchell and Gobert are my preferred combo on DK, especially if Gobert is going to be playing the sort of minutes that he did in game 5.
I was thinking, when it comes to Bogdanovic, and you just talked about him, he's really kind of one of those great guys to roster in the postseason because he's going to have a lot of these games that are just underwhelming or don't stand out. He's never really going to pull insane ownership unless like Mitchell's also out or something like that, right? And I think that's similar today. He's not going overlooked by any means, and he can't on a 2-game slate. Really, nobody is that's in a rotation playing 39 to 40 minutes per game. But around 30% on both sites. We saw what he did last game. I'm not calling for a repeat performance, but he is the type of guy that can knock down 9 threes in a game. And I said the same about Joe Harris yesterday. Like, you can get those games from these type of players, and you need them because they won't have any peripherals. Mind you, Josh, he had 32 points, Bogdanovic, and 38 fantasy points last game. So it's all completely scoring dependent when it comes to Bojan Bogdanovic.
Absolutely. I talked about it on the contenders, which have not been posted yet because that Kemba trade broke as I was rendering the video. So they'll be up right after the show is over. Had to take in all the opinions off of the Kemba thing. But yeah, Bojan is all points. It's not like it's a crazy, crazy, crazy amount of fantasy points that are coming from just scoring. In fact, in my model, he is 9th in the league in how frequently his fantasy points come from simply scoring. And the names above him are not all that crazy. Guys like JJ Redick, Duncan Robinson, McDermott, Bryn Forbes. Like that is the company he keeps. He's just the best version of all of those guys.
Who's number 1?
Bryn Forbes.
It is Forbes, really? Wow.
Yeah.
I saw this.
You want to know who do you think's last? I'll give you a hint. He plays today.
What's that?
He plays today.
So like points aren't dependent on scoring?
Yeah.
I guess it's Simmons.
I think Capella.
Wait, hold on. Capella?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. The bottom of it's Capella, Drummond, Robert
Draymond?
Williams, Moses Brown.
Is Draymond not there?
Draymond is 22nd.
From the bottom?
Yeah.
Okay. Where's Simmons?
23rd, 24th, 25th.
Okay, so they're all kind of in the ballpark there. Interesting. Yeah. Where did you find that?
Or is that my model? So I have it set up. So like I have the rates for everything that people do. So I just pull out the percentage of their scoring and then the percentage of everything else and compare the two.
That's a nice thing. I mean, it's mostly intuitive, right? Like you have a pretty good idea of which players are are going to be on that list, but it's nice to kind of have it in front of you for sure.
You kind of mentioned it too about Bogdanovich, but like what you want to try to do for the Boyan, Redick, Duncan Robinson, you want to play those guys when their price drops because it dropped because they probably weren't shooting well. And when those prices are high, you're probably not playing those guys because they're already at that ceiling. Those are the guys that are going to see the biggest wiggle in their price. And you want to catch them always on the down slope because the only reason it's down is because the thing that they do hasn't worked for a couple of days.
Yep, exactly. Right. Grab that huge fluctuation in salary when you can, and in sentiment too.
Yeah. Because people are like, oh, he's trashed, he's washed, he's whatever, because he went 6 of 30 from 3 for 3 straight games.
Exactly.
Like, all right, I'll take the extra $800.
And then he goes 9 for 12. Rudy Gobert, we got to talk about this. I'm actually very curious to hear your opinion on it. Chat seems pretty fired up about this. And of course, always happy to take your question or read these comments when we get good ones, or if they're just totally egregious, I enjoy reading them as well. So Rudy Gobert, 1.26 DraftKings points per minute in the regular season, Josh. Very solid number, over 1.25 fantasy points per minute. 0.92 DraftKings points per minute in this series. It has not been a particularly good series for Rudy Gobert. He's shooting fine in terms of like the overall shooting percentage, but there's been no volume there. Outside of that 20 rebound game, he's come under his rebound prop in every single one of those. And I got burned the one day on it. Really thought with his opportunities, the rebound chances that he'd be there. He's also been in some foul trouble at times as well, which hasn't just been a one-game thing. He's got 4+ fouls in all but one of these games in the series. It has not been an easy go for Rudy Gobert in this 5 games.
No, it hasn't, but it's also not like super surprising given what the Clippers are doing. They're running out a lineup to just be the opposite of Rudy Gobert.
And it's working.
Chat just seems to be like losing their, but like, is it? He played 42 minutes at a -4. The moment he leaves the floor, Derek Favors gets absolutely wrecked. Like he can't do anything while he's out there. Favors played 6.5 minutes. They were down 7 points in that time. Like, if Rudy Gobert can play 41 minutes and keep them like largely neutral, I don't know what else you're expecting out of the Utah Jazz. This is as good of a scenario as you're going to get. It's actually better for the Jazz to face a team that has a center, as weird as it sounds. Like, Rudy Gobert should have a really good series if they make it to Phoenix, because it's not like they're going to take DeAndre Ayton off the floor so they can play Jay Crowder at the 5.
Exactly. But did the Clippers find the Achilles heel of the Jazz with what they're doing?
I mean, it's what any team would do if they had the personnel to do it.
Right.
If the goal, like, if you have the ability to put Marcus Morris at the 5 and take Ivica Zubac off the floor, you just do that. Then you're just going to be a more balanced team. They're able to switch everything 1 through 5 for most of the game. And that turns the game into an isolation game. You stop running as many pick and rolls and it becomes a little bit more ISO ball. And if Rudy Gobert is not involved in the pick and roll, he's certainly not isolating someone to score for himself. He gets relegated differently on the offensive side of the ball. I think he's holding up really well in this series, given the fact that the Clippers are basically running this series specifically to remove him from the game.
But it's working.
It is working. But it's also working in the way that, like, their other 2 best players are either inactive or wrecked from an injury perspective. Now, obviously, I understand Kawhi also out, but Conley's been gone the whole time. Mitchell's been hurt the whole time. Like, it's working, fine, but it's not working. It's not like Rudy Gobert is an abject failure getting played off the floor. This is not 5 years ago when people saw that Rudy Gobert couldn't be on the court. That's just not the case any longer.
Will a team ever win a finals again with a center like Rudy Gobert, who has 0 offensive touch, but is a good rebounder, shot blocker, and such, and a good defensive player? Will a team ever be able to get through a gauntlet of just teams that can run small, that can do so many different things to counter that? Like, in the next 10 years, are we going to see a team win with a center like that?
Depends how many
honest opinion, because I know you're a Rudy Gobert apologist.
Well, no, I mean, my biggest issue for Rudy Gobert is that he's a perfect center in the regular season where teams aren't game planning for you, and he's going to create a top 3 defense by himself. The playoffs in the NBA, to me, wildly different. Rudy Gobert, way less valuable in the playoffs than he is in the regular season.
That's all that matters.
I agree. I'm not trying to justify that, but like I like Rudy Gobert a lot for regular season awards that have nothing to do with the playoffs. I don't carry that same weight into this conversation. No, I think it's really hard to want to do that. I think Phoenix would be a great matchup. I think if the Jazz win this series and have to face a legitimate Brooklyn Nets team, Rudy Gobert is going to be in so much trouble.
Oh my God.
He is not built for that series at all.
I've honestly wondered if there's going to be a point where I can't believe I'm drawing a blank on this. The Utah Jazz coach that looks like he should be in the next version of The Shining.
Quinn Snyder.
Thank you. He looks those faces he makes, man. I'm telling you, you could put him in the remake of The Shining, and it wouldn't be surprising. I'd be like, wow, they casted this guy great. If against Brooklyn, if let's say that was the finals, I think there might be periods where Gobert has to come off the floor. I know it sounds crazy, but I really do.
I completely agree with you. By the way, Quinn Snyder looks like he's made out of Coke.
Yes, exactly. And not Coca-Cola.
No, not so much. That would be a lot of Coca-Cola too that could get you to feel like that.
He does look yacked up every time the camera turns to him. Not as crazy as the Adam Gase look at his presser, but
oh yeah. Well, that was also because it was real, I think.
I mean, he had to have been, right?
Yeah.
Like, is there any way he wasn't?
I don't know.
Who knows? Either way. So Brian Clare,
I think if they make it through here, I think Gobert is in for he'll look a lot better against Phoenix. He would look dreadful against the Nets. I think he would be perfectly acceptable against the Milwaukee Bucks. I don't think that would be a problem at all.
Fine against the Sixers too.
I don't know, man. Joel Embiid does like getting some Rudy Gobert out there.
Well, no. I'm talking about the way the team is structured, not even Joel.
They're not going to put Rudy Gobert in pick and roll over and over again.
Exactly,
it'll be fine.
Right, like you're not pulling Rudy Gobert for another defender to stick Joel Embiid, ever. So
no, not at all.
Derek,
but Brooklyn would be a true problem.
Exactly. And then we'll close this out with the Clippers. Brian asks, Laffy and Josh, what do you think of Zion? I can't find it, but what are your thoughts about Zion wanting out of New Orleans? The reports I saw that his family wants him out of New Orleans. And I'll be honest with you, I'm sure you will disagree. I don't think there's anything worse than vocal family members of athletes, especially when it's unsolicited advice and unsolicited things where they're going on and they're voicing opinions that in turn they subsequently become that of the player, even though they haven't said that. I think some these outspoken vocal family members that are saying controversial shit like we want him out of here, we want him to the Knicks. I think that stuff, and I haven't really taken a deep dive into the story, but that stuff to me, I almost feel for the players when you're dealing with that type of stuff. I can't stand it.
I can't stand it either. Like if I were really good and I was in the NBA, don't listen to a word my uncle says.
Exactly.
Who cares?
Exactly. But you know the media runs.
Of course he wants to get out of New Orleans. They aren't any good.
You know they're going to run with it though. The media will always run with that stuff. Like,
Everybody
up,
wants to
Uncle
leave
Jim.
a team that isn't good. Everybody wants to leave a team that isn't good, and everybody wants to play for a team that's really good. This isn't rocket science. If they were really good, like if they were the 3 seed, these reports don't come out.
Exactly.
Winning cures everything.
Exactly.
He's been in the league 2 years.
But man, you hear it. Yeah, that's another thing too. Listen, I probably wouldn't want to be in New Orleans either. They always make moves and you're like, they could be good this year and then they're bad every single year. But when you have these it's just so maddening to be like Zion Williamson's stepbrother, livid over the call last night, says he wants him out of New Orleans yesterday. Like, nobody cares. And really you have, a lot of it's just clout chasing with the family members anyway. Was there anything more embarrassing than I don't know if Vic? You saw that. Sorry, what's that?
I thought you were going with Marcus Vick when Vic was in Philly.
Oh no, but I don't know if you saw it. You know who Zach Wilson is?
The quarterback?
Yeah, for the Jets, second overall pick.
Yeah.
His mom, Instagram gets Instagram famous, starts spouting off about all of this stuff. And it's embarrassing. If I'm him, seriously, if that were my mom, like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I'd be like, yo, you're not getting a car and a house now, woman.
Yeah. Why are you doing this to me? I mean, it's just super embarrassing stuff. And there's no spot for that at all. Seriously, I would have shut that shit down really quick. Like, yeah. Enjoy your Instagram. Keep my name out of it. Stay away. Please. It's
like, who sat LeVar Ball down and was like, yo, you got to shut up. It's over now. Yeah. That had to happen. That had to happen. Whether it's LeBron, Clutch, Magic.
He's kind of gone quietly into the night, huh?
When he was still in LA, he got quiet real quick. And that didn't come because LeVar was like, you know what? I might be in the media too much.
Exactly. Oh, yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, you think you got to knock at the door. Yeah,
like, listen, this is how this is going to work moving forward. You gotta shut your mouth. So I hate it all. I hate it all. But I will say this, and here I'm going to light it all on fire right now. This is why there shouldn't be an NBA draft.
We don't have time for this. Tomorrow or Monday we'll come back and we'll run this back, but we do not have time for that today.
That's fair.
It's 11:03. Here's why I think there should be a draft. No, I'm kidding. Let's talk Clippers. I don't
want to talk about Doc Rivers, but let me give you my 5 bullet points on Doc Rivers.
I definitely did that yesterday. Jordan, do we have a Hall of Fame segment today? We do. Let's hit on that real quick. Whenever I forget about it, I always get DMs like, Lavi, I didn't see myself up there today. So I try to remember to do this, and it's fun, and there's no reason not to shout out all of our viewers and everyone rocking that Awesemo avatar. Remember, you want to get up here, you want to win a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum, everything included: ownership, player projections, top stack tool, boom bust, lineup builder, optimal lineup percentage, all of our premium articles, and you can get the Fantasy Cruncher add-on on top of that. All of that stuff, I'm telling you right now, do it. Download the avatar at the profile pic at awesemo.com/avatar. When you finish top 3 in a field of 5,000 or more, tweet us at Awesemo HOF. That's Awesemo Hall of Fame. Include Josh and myself in it and win a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum and get your name right up here. Post it on the Hall of Fame segment so we can shout you out and do the bragging for you. So, Payton, Cash, great split with Yoda Bucks and 24 of our closest friends. Thanks for all of the work and content, Laffy and Josh. Congratulations, man. Coming up next, Brendan from Buffalo. My first crack at the Euros. $9 single entry. Lost the takedown, but I'll take it. Thanks, Awesemo and Fluff Marsh, for the good stuff. Second place. The real Konzer? We'll go with that. That's a huge win right there. $6,500. Congrats to you, brother. Again, rocking that Awesemo avatar. That's how we get you up here. And then the 124. But that one big one is the 6,500. Peter Hanley. Heard of him, Josh?
No, never. Oh, wait. Sorry. It's literally every day.
It's every day, this guy. It's absurd. The projections are on fire for these showdown slates. Of course, he's talking about the Awesemo projections. Thanks, Peter. And congratulations again. I almost don't like the guy now.
God, it's frustrating. It's frustrating to see.
Another $20,000 plus win. And to close it out, there you have the DVS. Can't read that, but 2 right there, tied for first. Awesemo avatars. Bing, bang, boom. Bring it home, boys. The DVS T2. I don't know. I know I used to rock DVS shoes when I skateboarded, but that's as far as I go. Congrats. Be sure to check out the awesemo.com/avatar page. Throw that up there wherever you're playing. Put yourself in a good spot. Get the bragging done for you and win that free month. All right, Josh, the LA Clippers, no Kawhi, but Paul George, who was bad chalk last game. I'm kidding. Ridiculous statement. Came out with a monster performance, 37, 16, 5, 2, and 1 in 40 minutes in that 8-point victory over the Jazz. His price has come up because last game we already had salaries before Kawhi was ruled out, but he still looks pretty good today, if you ask me.
Yeah, 10,600 on FanDuel, 10,100 on DraftKings. Although I will be like, to me, 49.5% on DK is a little bit higher than I think it should be, but he's still clearly a fantastic option. It would be really great if that one game was like, yeah, now I'm playoff P, and now he goes out there and lays the egg. It'd be a lot more fulfilling to see it happen going into game 7, but he's perfectly set up to wreck this team once again. They're not going to win a title just being carried by Paul George, but they can certainly beat Utah one set of 2 games. That's for sure. So I'm happy to get to Paul George, but at least on DK, there are a couple options that I think are pretty clearly better than him. One of those is Terrence Mann. If he's going to get the start again, like he did in game 5. And I do want to shout out, Greg Ehrenberg was all over Terrence Mann as the 5th starter. That was not the direction I was going, but Greg nailed it. So kudos to Greg on that one. He's 3,200. You just play him a lot. We've got him at a 33% ownership. To me, that's ludicrous. I would have him in like half my lineups.
Okay. So we'll do this because we got to go. Top options from the Clippers. If there's anything else you haven't hit on, feel free to do that. But top down, where do we go?
On DK, I like a lot. Marcus Morris, Terrence Mann, Reggie Jackson, obviously Paul George, Nick Batum at 4,900. These guys all look pretty good. Batum's probably a little overowned, but he looks really good in cash spots. Marcus Morris and Batum are going to be in a ton of your lineups on FanDuel just because. And I like Reggie Jackson there as well.
I'll be honest with you. I don't know if Batum is overowned. I say, but like shot volume's low and all of that stuff. Decent enough defensive player in that he can rack up some counting stats. Some he can pickpocket a decent amount, get those steals. But the biggest thing for me, he played 42 minutes last game. He's sub 5K on DraftKings. Like if you can give me 40 minutes for someone at sub 5K, I don't need you to be an electric shooter. I just need you to be out there enough to fall into some peripherals and knock down some of the few shots that you take. Marcus Morris price, you already talked about him, hasn't come up much at all. Sure, it came up 600, but still 5,100 without Kawhi Leonard. Game 6, 40 minutes last game, got up 16 shots, Josh, even got to the line for a couple trips. Like those are the type of spots that even though their salaries have come up a little bit, I still think they're underpriced given the minutes, given the loss of Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, I don't want to like, I have Morris over his ownership at 50% right now. I'm just a little bit behind on Batum. It's not like I'm not close,
right?
But he would be the guy that like, he would be the first guy up for me that I would be willing to, if I was going to go under on someone from the Clippers, it would be Batum. Not that I don't think he's good. He's still in the optimal 37% of the time for me at 4,900.
If you're playing one lineup, Josh, tonight, and you want to throw it into a tournament, what do you start with?
Terrence Mann.
Yeah,
I think so. I think he's just going to end up. If Terrence Mann's ownership is 33%, then Terrence Mann.
Okay, and
because that's just not enough as far as I'm concerned.
And who's the first high price player going into that lineup?
Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, over Embiid or Paul George.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I think so. I think I probably get to 2 of those guys since Mann is also in there. And I'm guessing it ends up being Paul George over Embiid.
All right. Well, hey, that'll do it for us. And I talk about all the subscriptions we have at Awesemo. At awesemo.com/join, right? All the tools built by the #1 ranked DFS players. So they're good for a reason because he's used them to win a lot of money. But if you're not in the position to do that yet and you just want to check out some free content that's usually behind the paywall, today the player projections for NBA are free. The top pitchers tool, which is an awesome tool for baseball, is free. And the UFC pro plays for tomorrow's UFC card are free. So check them out, totally free, in front of the paywall. And the NBA deep dive, the building blocks article. There's plenty of stuff out there at Awesemo. If you're not in that position yet to become a premium sub, that's totally free over there. Check it out today. Josh, they can check out the process show. They can check out contenders when they drop, and then stick around throughout the day. MLB Strategy Show is on right now. If you want to flip over to that, you've got the tip-off show. You get the deeper dive. You've got the live before lock show tonight. I think I'm actually on with Greg. Or no, I might be on the deeper dive with Greg.
I don't know. I'm not on either of them, so I don't pay attention. By the way, Paul George and Donovan Mitchell in my optimal.
Both of them. Okay.
Yes. Okay. And Rudy Gobert.
It is. There you go. Okay. So we'll make it happen. Plenty of stuff coming down the pike. Thanks for hanging out as always, guys. Appreciate you. Love y'all. Well, everyone but you, buddy, and Ripple. You guys are jerk offs. We'll see you back here soon. I would never get an ESPN job or any, not that I'd want to, but I mean, zero.